Today I'm going to show you 5 ways to checkmate quickly in chess, and this first one is one everyone should know about, but it also needs a little cooperation from your opponent. It's a 2-move checkmate or the fool's mate, and it starts after f3. We're just going to bring out our e-pawn, e6 would also work, and after they play g4, we can just checkmate. This is a checkmate in 2 moves. It's a really quick one you should know about, but probably not likely to happen in a game. But yeah, that's the first checkmate you should definitely know about. Now, the checkmates are gonna become a lot more difficult, but also a lot more likely to happen from this point onward. So let's just go back and let's move on to the second checkmate, which is actually from the white perspective. And this one is already a lot trickier and actually happens quite a lot already. And here we start with e4, e5. This is just a basic opening. And we're gonna bring out our queen here. Now here, black can already go wrong. It can lead to a checkmate in 3, which again needs a lot of cooperation for black to play e7, which is just the worst move ever. This is checkmate in 3 moves. That's not usually what black is gonna play. What other mistakes black makes here is, for example, attacking the queen, which just loses the pawn. They can also attack a queen like this, losing the pawn and then the rook on the next move. So that's why this trap is already a lot more tricky, even if it doesn't lead to checkmate. But the usual continuation is knight c6. We're gonna bring our bishop out to c4. And we're threatening checkmate here. And black often doesn't notice this. So they try to attack a queen, for example, and we just checkmate here. They can block the checkmate like this. We're just gonna move back and then again checkmate. So it can be a checkmate in 3, 4 or 5, this variation. So for example, if they don't pay attention, they can still get checkmated here. This is called the scholar's mate. Actually, this is called the scholar's mate. But yeah, it can happen even a move later. So we've seen a checkmate in 2 moves, 3 moves, 4 moves and 5 moves now. So let's move on to the next one, which is a really beautiful one and a really tricky one. A lot of players fall for this. And again, we're going to start with e4, but this time our opponent is playing the Caro-Kann. And you can play this in a lot of different move orders. We're going to start with knight f3. And after they bring their pawn to d5, which is the main idea of the Caro-Kann, we're going to go for the 2 knights. And again, this is just theory. Yeah, just the usual opening. Black usually takes, and after we take back, black is gonna develop their knight. And the idea is to have the knight taken and transpose back in the Tartar cover. But we're not gonna do that, and we're actually gonna play this really sneaky move, queen e2, which sets up a checkmate threat, and they don't see it. Right now, it's not even there. But black is like, okay, if they take our knight now, I have to take back with my g-pawn. I don't want that, so let's just defend that knight with my other knight, so that I can take back with the knight. But in this position, we actually play knight d6 checkmate. This pawn is pinned, so it can't take the knight, and the king has nowhere to move. The knight can't be taken, like I said. So this is checkmate. So this is a really beautiful one, and it's a checkmate in 6 moves actually. So yeah, definitely one you should know about. So let's move on to the next one, which is a checkmate, you guessed it, in 7 moves. Now, we're gonna start off with e4, e5 again. So again, this is just pretty usual stuff, and that's why these checkmates can actually happen quite a lot. And after knight f3, this one is against the Philidor defense with d6. We're again gonna play bishop c4. And it looks like similar ideas, but it's really different than any traps we've seen. And here one of the moves black plays a lot is bishop g4, just pinning our knight to the queen. We're just going to develop our other knight. And this is actually where black can already go wrong. Not immediately getting checkmated, but close to it. It can happen from a lot of different moves. The most common here is g6, trying to fianchetto the bishop. And we can actually take this pawn here. And you might think, whoa, why can you do that? Because the knight can be taken and the queen can be taken. Well, let me first show you. If they take the queen, and this is the main idea of this trap, we have a check here. Notice the knight is covering d7, so the king has to move to e7. And now this knight comes in, and it's actually checkmate. Notice this knight covers the escape square. And f7, the bishop is covering these, knight is covering these, and this knight is delivering the checkmate. So a really beautiful checkmate while sacrificing the queen. And just to show you, if they see all that and they just take your knight, you can actually take that bishop. You've won a pawn here, and you can still go back to f3 to threaten this checkmate. So for example, if black is not careful and tries to develop, I don't know what they do. No, this isn't the checkmate anymore because the queen moved. Let's say they moved their rook. This would be still checkmate. So that can happen as well. But usually if black goes into this, they don't know what's happening and they're gonna take your queen. And you're gonna have this beautiful checkmate. So now on for the last one. We've seen quite a lot of checkmates already. And this last one is, and you guessed it again, a checkmate in 8 moves. And here we're gonna start with d4 actually. So this is a little bit different. We're gonna bring our knight out and they're gonna play for c4. This is the main idea for Queen's Gambit players against the King's Indian usually. But we're not gonna play the King's Indian, which usually includes g6. But we're actually gonna play the Budapest Gambit with e5. They're gonna take, it's a gambit of course, and we're gonna bring our knight here, trying to get that pawn back. Now, white can do quite some things to defend that pawn, but the most obvious one is just bringing out the knight, defending that pawn, so we can't take it because we lose a knight. In this position, we're developing our other knight, and now we have 2 knights attacking that pawn, so they're gonna bring out that bishop to defend it some more. Here we're gonna bring out this bishop with check, and white has a choice here. Usually, obviously, they don't want to block with the queen. That's just bad. They don't really want to bring the bishop back because it came out here to defend this pawn. They don't really want to bring the knight out here because this can double their pawns. So, having said all that, the most obvious move and most played move is knight d2, blocking the check like this. And here we're going to play queen e7, which is again a really snaky move. And this is pretty much setting up the checkmate, although not really. But here white is like, I'm gonna just get this bishop out. It looks like this bishop can get trapped. So for example, if the bishop moves back and moves back again, it's just a trap bishop. Again, it can't really move anywhere else. It can move here. Then after this, this is actually checkmate, so I didn't even prepare this, but this would be another checkmate. So another thing, white can fall for. But the main idea here is to actually leave your bishop, and that's why this one is so beautiful. We can actually take this pawn, and it might be a good idea to play this quickly, to make them really think, okay, they just plundered our bishop, okay, we've won a pawn now. Notice we brought our queen here to attack this pawn, so they might think, okay, they just forgot that our bishop was attacked. They're gonna take the bishop, and here we have another smothered checkmate. Like we've seen before, the pawn is pinned so they can't take a knight, and the king is checkmated. So this is a really beautiful checkmate in 8 moves. And this was the 5 best, easy, quick checkmates, in my opinion, that you can play in chess. And I hope you can perform some of these in your games. Let me know if you did, and thank you for watching. Bye bye.